Do you know what it means? Yes, some people don't know the French names.
We will start and read. Christine?
I am. How is Christine? Hi.
The Article 1 is to elect a moderator to decide at the said meetings. I believe we got Scott, didn't we?
We have to elect a moderator at the election, and then we'll have a deputy moderator at town meeting, which will be Scott, hopefully.
Article 2, elect by secret ballot one selectman for a term of 3 years. Article 3, to vote by secret ballot on the following locations, local option referendum questions. Number 1, shall the town of Hartford authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of liquor to be consumed on the premises of licensed establishments on days other than Sundays? Number 2.
Excuse me, Kathy, where are you?
Page 62.
Okay, thank you.
Shall the town of Hartford authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of malt liquor and wine to be consumed off the premises of licensed establishments on days other than Sundays? Number 3, shows the town of Hartford authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of malt liquor and wine to be consumed off the premises of licensed establishments on Sundays. Number 4, shall the town of Hartford authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of malt liquor and wine to be consumed on the premises of licensed establishments on Sundays? Number 5, shall the town of Hartford authorize the state to issue licenses for the sale of malt liquor and wine for consumption on the premises of licensed establishments on Sundays? Is that?
What is the difference between those two?
Yeah, there's a couple that was,
Yeah, one, yeah. They said something about that, one was supposed to be just liquor, and the other one was supposed to be malt.
I guess there's a difference between malt liquor and liquor.
But also, what is it, they both say the
They
same.
both say malt liquor and wine on Sundays.
One is liquor, but the other two are
And
not.
wine for consumption on the premises. And, you know,
One says consumed and one says consumption. Oh, they're from the state law.
Yeah.
And the residents, those are the articles that they chose to have voted on.
So we discussed it on last night. The residents and the people who want it.
Yes.
Someone in the town office, you're muted. So we can't hear you.
Sorry, we had to restart. Lost connection.
That's okay.
Now the vote to appropriate up to $1,678,093 from the fund balance to cover the over expenditure of the sanitation account for FY21.
It's 1,678.
Oh, 1,000, okay, sorry about that.
It's all good work. It's all.
Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Number 6, Article 6, see if the town will vote to appropriate up to $10,000 from fund balance to cover the over expenditure of the sanitation account for FY22.
5,000.
What?
5,000.
It says
It says it? I'm looking at the other one, sorry.
So we did was this something, this is on 63. The weekly trash pickup, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for the winter roads account. The budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $463,130.
I have a question on that.
Yeah,
How can I interact into this to propose that my section of the road gets plowed? I live on the discontinued section down to the about a half mile down from the actual.
that's to be, a lot of things have to happen to have, make that happen.
My understanding is a lot of things that can happen, in order for that to take place, because the road itself is not up to the standards of being able to be plowed by modern equipment. Years ago, we used to say that when those companies found certain roads and certain people out. But nowadays, they use some pretty good sized equipment. And I wish the road commissioner was here to give you a good answer on that, but I don't know that this is the part of the process to try to work with this so much as working with it through the, well, a little later, we're going to be discussing winter road closures on certain roads. And one of the possibilities is for you to petition the town not closed for winter maintenance, or that it's only closed for winter maintenance a certain amount. I don't know if we can change that. It's either section closed or section not closed. You can't change.
He could put it on, he could speak about it during open session, and put it on another agenda.
As a select board, yes, I think so. The catch is that anything that is already gone into the warrant has gone into the warrant as written. And what we can change and what we can't change at town meeting is we can change dollar figures, assuming, of course, that the dollar figures, as we look at these, if the dollar figures are outside of the body of the article, as you will note in most of your budget articles here, it will say, let me see here. You will see that the dollar figure is, it will say underneath Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for winter roads. The budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $463,130. And then it says it was approved last year. But you notice that there's a sentence, which is the article, and then underneath the recommendation. So that the dollar figure is not in the body of the article. what word development to be in the body of the article, it's Kathy's fault. And it can't be changed at town meeting. The article can either be voted up or down. And if we vote it down, then that leaves the town without winter maintenance, which I don't think we want to be there. But in any case, we left it in the body of the article so that if in fact it needed to be raised a little higher, for whatever reason, adding more mileage would be one of them, then we would be able to do that.
Or you can bring it up in an open session today.
Well, if we have an open session, we can discuss it further, but I'm just letting you know letting everybody in the room know what the process is for changing anything that you see here. If you came to town meeting and raise your hand and say, I have something to say about this, and this is my thing, and I'd like to move that we raise a little bit more. I guess I'm going to say is speak up in open session when we start our select board meeting, and then from there you'll want to, we'll schedule some select board talk on the subject, and you show up at town meeting, and I think that's where we just go. I would want to try and say one way or another, without actually discussing it with the road commission, who is also the prime contractor, in the local department. The Department of Ed, and Kathy knows a lot about it and works on that with him. We want to step on his toes. Yes.
Are you looking at me?
Yeah, sorry.
Well, if the article to close Darrington Road to winter maintenance fails, then we have to plow it, right?
I'm not sure we have to plow it if the article fails, although if the article fails, then we have to understand it. We had a road that was close to winter maintenance that was open to winter maintenance. This is the other end of Greenville Road, and that was opened up. And the plow contractor at the time, our state plow contractor, but another guy, basically said, yeah, right, well, you're gonna have to figure that out because I'm not taking one. Not a chance. And we put, I think, $40,000 into it at the time, which would be cheap to be able to plow that road. And since all decided at the end of the town meeting, with very few people in the room, and that is my way. $40,000 was the initial cost on that road. It's been an expensive. Anyway, there you go. I think the Darrington Road is going to require some people to start with on. Can we keep on?
Yep. Article 7, is that what we just?
Yeah, I think
Number 8, Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for summer roads account, which includes $156,079 for 2022, 2023. Principal and interest payments on the main bond bank loan dated November 1st, 2021. Total amount borrowed equals $1,400,000. The Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen recommended raising $361,069. Approved $348,500. Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate a sum of money for the administration account. Budget Committee recommended raising $250,712.05. The Board of Selectmen recommends raising $258,457.55.
I have a question, what is that voted on?
Pretty sure it's one of our budget committees, one of our budget meetings.
Well, I think it would have to go before the select board for a vote, so you guys didn't really have a say in the budget meeting on that, so we would have to do that in the select board meeting. I think we did in the select board meeting. Do we know when that was done?
Yeah, I have it. The selectmen read the articles, signed them, Lee made a motion to approve them on May 5th.
So they were approving the warrant, but did they actually approve all the articles and such?
That they signed the copy. I have the signed copy if you want to see it.
No, if they voted to sign the warrant, the assumption was that they read the warrant.
Right.
Like,
Where did the extra 8,000 come from that the budget committee didn't recommend?
Town clerk and deputy wages.
So I recall at the budget committee meetings that the clerk had requested a $10,000 raise, and the committee voted 4-1 against that. Where is that in this budget?
I believe that is under budget committee recommends.
The 10,000? We do
Yeah,
not.
budget committee recommends $250,712.
Yeah, but where is the 10,000 clerk requested?
It's not 10,000, it's only a little under 8,000.
Okay, so where is that?
So it was higher than what the budget committee recommended.
You recommended.
Is that what you're saying? We recommended a COLA. Cost of living, which would be $3,000.
So what's the difference between 10,000 and 3,000? The difference in this article.
I think
No,
you
you
should
asked,
have voted at a meeting first to raise this amount as opposed to voting on the warrant. Because how can you print the warrant without discussing what's in the articles?
yeah, what is in this article? What are these expenses?
The expenses,
What is it, what is that $258,457 account for? You can't just approve the whole warrant unless you know. What's in there?
The Budget committee recommended a COLA, cost of living increase, and then a performance increase based on their day's hire. After an evaluation was done, so what did you guys decide?
I don't recall if we actually took that up in the select board meeting.
How could you not? What is in this 258,000? What does that cover?
The difference between what I
No,
asked.
no, what does it cover? What is covered by $258,000?
covers their wages, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
how do you
what else?
differentiate that? Like we said, we're doing a COLA.
Break
and a
it down.
performance increase.
Where the applicants, I know that I don't recall actually voting on this subject at the select board meeting.
That's what we're needing.
Where you sign the warrant, yes.
No, I remember signing one.
Well, I remember at the budget committee meeting, Lori and Kathy trying to vote to approve this. And Doreen and Lenny and Christine saying this is not the place.
That's right.
It should.
It always has been in the past.
Well, it should be at a select
It's,
board
I
meeting.
think we could call MMA on this and discuss with them whether signing the warrant without, going through the proper channels. It shouldn't have been put in the warrant if it hadn't been voted upon by the select board.
They voted, Lee made a motion to accept the warrant as written. They all signed
I'm
it.
talking about that particular article. It should have been-
Hold on, we don't need to argue.
That's what you guys are trying to do.
Uh-uh. Asking for accountability,
We signed it, was that a meeting?
but you don't know what's in it.
Of course they do. They have everything you have. They went to every budget meeting, went through every line. They know.
Okay, I'm talking to the select board. What raise did you vote on?
What raise?
Yeah, we had a vote on raise, and we voted on the cost of living.
What's the breakdown on the number that you guys have added in? It's
And
what we
bonus,
want to
right?
know.
Cost of living and a bonus.
No.
No,
I'm pretty sure we.
no, it was a performance. How did we work?
We did a 3%.
Increase after evaluation.
Listen to Chris just for a second. We did a 6.5 cost of living increase, which is based on CPIU, plus a 3% performance increase based on the evaluation, which is part of the personnel policies of the
Yeah.
town.
Thank you.
The question for you is what percentages of that increase goes to what? Did you guys vote on that or? You approved the warrant, but it doesn't sound like you discussed where that money's gonna be divvied up and how it's gonna be divvied up. And to whom it's gonna be divvied up.
There, that's this page.
Yeah,
Budget, this is the budget. If you're gonna be a select board member, you're gonna have to answer questions.
Yes, Lori, that's the one that we did. You're
Page
voting
10
different.
is what Leanne gave me, page 11 was the budget committee proposals. And we'd like to know what you do with it.
You just wanna know what, where your figures are going. What are you doing it?
Whole lot.
Are you doing
It's
performance increase?
In the budget,
In the budget. I know it's in the bottom.
it's in your town report.
Where?
It is on page administration.
I'm on page 63, where the administration account
Mhm.
is. what we're
Page
discussing.
31 has the breakdown.
31.
Yes.
Yes, town clerk regular proposed 60,000 retirement. So is that what you as a board approved?
Well, I never looked in my budget book that they approved it before, I think.
Yes, that's what the budget. committee approved.
But, that said, I will believe that having all the board is, but I will also look to not having people know. Yeah, can't rule nothing, right? Yes,
Just for comparison, I know it's a district with a sad schools, but what was the increase for, say, teachers? In here,
everyone here.
I think if we really are concerned about education and wanting people to come here, we ought to make sure that our town officials are getting similar to teachers and vice versa. Education is the only thing that's going to keep this town alive because people are not going to go and spend money to go to Bates and other places, even main colleges, and come and not be able to make the money that people say, oh, you'll make with education. So, and I came in late on it, but I know, having been a teacher and listening to budgets go on in other places, to tell us that education is the most important thing, and kids are most important, and then to pay them less than some of the many of the town officials, select board, however you do it. This is the first time I've had a select board. I've always had, a town council type thing. But you've got to really look at what are you paying your professionals that are paying thousands of dollars to get an education for what we all say are our most important resources, our young people. You got to bite the bullet, or you got to say that our young people aren't important.
This is, of course, needless to say, we're not discussing teachers right here, but I was reading from my phone here, to the average public school teacher in salary in May is $58,848, April 26, 2022, with range people between 51,370 and 67,953.
And what are your people paying? Now think of this, a college education.
What give you his actual answer from RSU 10?
Well, are we RSU 10?
Yes,
We are.
and that will be coming up to vote Tuesday, so this coming Tuesday. So the budget,
It was yesterday.
oh, it was? Yes, you did, vote.
Well,
Well, in
the
person,
validation vote was yesterday, the
Oh.
actual vote on that.
the 14th.
point.
So I guess, what my question is you have a personnel policy that you should be sticking by. And we designated a portion of the money towards the cost of living as well as a portion of money to performance, which public or private sector, most people are held accountable on that. And so my question to you is, how are you breaking up this increase that you guys have not voted on, but chosen to approve through the warrant for payment?
I thought we voted on this, but. I just don't. Think it was May 5th.
Wouldn't the answer to this question be the difference between in the expense report 2021 and 2020? You have it right here, actual and approved. From 21 to 22.
Yes,
So
our
you want a
question-
breakdown, it's the difference between those 2 years.
Yes, but
It's not what we're questioning.
the question is how is the money divvied out? Is this going to the deputy clerk? Is it going to the clerk? And what portion is going to whom?
It's right in your, on page 31.
Page 31, it tells you the amount that's different from last year to this year on both of those positions.
Okay, so
So the deputy is getting a decrease.
a decrease
In hours.
And the clerk is getting an increase.
If you remember correctly, she's getting $1 an hour raise or proposing for one, and a decrease in hours from what Isaac was budgeted for, because I was told to decrease the deputy's hours.
Well, that isn't your fault, but that's a bad idea. It's not part of the budget. but it's a bad idea. That's how we got to the situation we were in.
Does anybody else have any comments?
I just think for a town of ours, it's gonna be hard to swallow going from 42, which people had a fit about, to 44, to 50, to 60.
60,000 is what I said I wanted to come back to this town. Sumner's making 65, they have
Hold on.
less.
We're talking about what we actually offered and how much it's increased. Doesn't matter what you were asking for, it's what we were offering. That's a lot of increase.
Well, I have a request in the town report for 60,000.
I don't know.
So we did a survey of all the other towns. Currently, Hartford is the fourth highest paid clerk in Oxford County. If this approval would go in, they would be the second highest paid in Oxford County.
But that doesn't take into account for town managers, deputy clerks working
No,
more than
that's
8 hours a week.
Hebron was number 2 currently, and they don't have a town manager either. And they're on the staff, they do have.
But most of these towns have full-time deputy clerks.
Mhm.
And if you guys notice, at least I have noticed, you read the papers lately, and a lot of these towns are looking for town clerks.
Every
deputy
day.
clerks. Every day there's an ad in there for one or the other.
Right
That's
now,
not the point. The point is how much it's gone up, how quickly, and for what? For doing your job?
That's right, doing a job.
For
This town is doing
retaining
that.
qualified people, you have
You
to.
hire for that.
Also,
One
people
person
work
above
for
you here.
volunteers. Can you say
The rest of my case.
Ken?
I said to retain qualified individuals, you need to pay.
That's right.
That's not just here, but it's everywhere.
So I don't, do you work? You work?
I've worked, yes.
Okay, so that would be, if we were to fund this, that would be a 20% increase in salary.
If you find.
Now, I don't know what your raises have been, but very few people are giving 20% increases. Cost of living, when we sat as a budget committee, we thought about the implications of what COVID has done in the past 3 years. And we wanted to be able to maintain in the future these salaries. If we were to continue to increase salaries like this, it would be unsustainable for these.
I can understand that if you were to continue,
Most people.
but if you were
here-
just to bring it to where it should be,
Right,
and then maintain it
Who
without.
says it should be?
right.
You guys
To your point, I probably will guarantee you the teachers did not get a 20% increase. They would be lucky if they got a 10%.
I have never gotten double figures,
Correct.
never gotten double
It's
figures.
just something-
Teachers are underpaid as well, in my opinion. So I agree with you.
It's just
I
something to think
People
about.
that,
See, you
people
are
can
just
go to a
being
drive-up
greedy
window at
with the
McDonald's
that
and
way
get
you
help from
wouldn't
someone
get
making
to
20.
be just in the phone.
The town needs to be held accountable to their actions. The town needs to be
Well, I
held
don't have the
accountable.
right to speak, and that's what I got from the budget meeting. You know, I was only listening.
I was told to be the budget chair and to,
Yeah, and you wanted to give that extra money to him and not to Leanne.
It's not about Leanne, it's about.
It's the
the
job, that's why we
position.
want to give it the raise, because it's what she did to this town. She got us out of a mess. This town was a mess.
Yes, and we went from 42 to 50. We're not talking about Leanne, we're talking about.
We're
the
talking,
position.
that's what we're talking, I'm talking about the job she did to get us out of this mess.
So you don't know there's a difference between Leanne and the position of town clerk?
I know what the position is,
Yeah,
but I know what she's done.
when we talk about salary, we're talking about the position.
That is what I am talking
No,
about.
you're not.
I am talking about the position. I'm not talking about Leanne, I'm talking about what she did. But anybody would do in the same position. I don't care who it was sitting over there, I'd still give her a raise for what she did for this town.
You already did.
Even if it was you sitting there, I'd give you a raise for what.
Oh,
We
come on.
went from 42 to 50. We already did a big raise.
This is not-
You guys don't get it.
Yeah, I get it. It's the position. We're gonna price ourselves out of what we can do.
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
really.
why the thing was been there. Oh, give him a phone, because he wanted to get paid to come to the meeting, he wanted to get paid answering the phone, and you guys were quick to give him a raise. That's why
Well, we
I'm
can
here.
talk
I'm
about
here
that.
at the end of this month because of people like you.
That's good. We.
Hey.
I'm sorry, that's why.
No, I came to a meeting of what I thought was a friendly group. Obviously, this is my first time, and I'm rather shocked.
Sure, well,
And I'm disappointed.
what I was trying to say is, this is a public hearing, let people have their say.
I'm having my
You're
say.
having your say, but you're
But you're
also
not the public.
not for long,
Not
money,
you.
you're also a select board member, therefore, I'd like to.
I used to like this town, and I do not like this anymore.
We will discuss things when we get to his town. I think that's,
Okay,
is
so,
that included
in
in
any
this
case,
salary?
where were we, because we have until 7 o'clock, we're supposed to start the select board meeting at 7 o'clock. I'm going to start that a little late if we have to, because we have other business to attend to.
Can we just address BIMS, since Lori brought it up, so the town doesn't think that we did not want to do that? We, in looking at the account, saw that BIM was submitting hours, and they were over and above what was budgeted for the past 3 years. Unfortunately, BIM was asking for a stipend as road commissioner, as well as submitting hours. It is illegal under the Department of Labor to pay a stipend and regular hours without doing a blended rate for overtime. When we tried to discuss this with BIM, we said we can make a salaried employee and pay you a salary, or we can continue paying hourly. He did not want to discuss it, he got up and left. So Lori is incorrect. We were willing to negotiate, but we cannot do both unless we do overtime. He was not submitting his hours in a proper time fashion in the discussion of things. We need to pay an employee within 2 weeks or 16 days of working, and that wasn't happening. If that had been happening, the select board could see whether there was a lot of overtime happening or whether they were going to be short on the budget to appropriate more money into that line, but that wasn't happening. And so for 3 years straight, they were under budgeted for that account.
So we agreed to increase that budget line for his salary, for his hourly rate, and requested that he submit his time within 16 days so we could be in compliance with the law. That is what the budget committee recommended. So please do not take it that we said no to Vince.
I don't know how we got there, but thank you. This is new to me.
It's okay.
And,
You don't have to know how we got there.
I mean, I don't know how we got on the discussion, it seems to me there should be a percentage of increase if people are still going to work here, and then a bonus if, for whatever, if somebody shows up to do extra hours or whatever. But I come from a different world. I come from a world where I take tons of work home as a teacher. And, you know, you gotta like your job. And there were days I didn't like the job.
I'm sure they were. Leah,
All the kids, to be really truthful.
Leah,
I just want to say again that I said I would come back for $60,000. No one knew how much money was in the books because the book work wasn't done. They agreed to 50, but now we know everything's fixed. We know how much money there is. We know what other towns are making. That's why I requested more, what I originally requested.
Actually, the budget committee had recommended cost of living every year for 3 years, which would amount to the same thing, but not such a tremendous jump in 1 year.
Can I say one thing? Okay,
sure.
if you didn't have Leanne straighten out the books and you hired an accountant to come do it. Oh, I'm just saying.
No,
if you,
just
if you,
blowing hair
oh,
on
I'm
your
sorry. If you- okay, what would that amount been to the difference that she's asking for? Would have been astronomical for 3 years. I'm sure Leanne was doing this amongst trying to do everything else in the office. All right, Leanne? So,
But it's not about Leanne.
no,
It's about
it's,
somebody, Leanne leaves and we're stuck again because we don't have a deputy clerk.
so you want some.
So the next person who comes says, oh, that position pays 60,000.
No, because it's up to the selectmen to choose how much they're paid.
Sure.
Oh, I mean, you decided how much you'd be.
I'm requesting,
Yeah, well, you said yourself, I told them I'd come back for
Right.
60,000.
yeah,
That's you.
and they have to vote on that and agree.
Too bad. Okay, I'm done.
Where will we? I think we're Article 10. Do you want to continue to read?
Okay, Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate some of money for the public safety account. The budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $98,552. Approved $92,975.
That was last week's.
Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate some of money for the sanitation account to include one multi-waste collection day per year. Budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $105,910.60. Approved $96,118. Article 12, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate a sum of money for the contingency account. The budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $3,000. FY 22 approved at $3,000.
You look up right here. I have any questions, anybody have any questions about any of these?
Article 13, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate a sum of money for the general assistance account. Budget committee and board of selectmen recommend raising $1,000. FY 22 approved $1,000. Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate $2,500 for the capital outlay reserve account for future use. Recommended by the budget committee and board of selectmen. Article 15, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $30,000 from fund balance to reduce 2022-2023 tax commitment, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 16, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $50,000 from fund balance for the town office improvement reserve account for future use, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. Any questions on that? Article 17, to see if the town will vote to appropriate $10,000 from fund balance for the regulation reserve account for future use, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. 18, to see if the town will vote to approve the amendments to the shoreland zoning ordinance for the town of Hartford as written in attachment A. Article 19, to see if the town will vote to approve the amendments to the beach ordinance for the town of Hartford as written in attachment B. Article 20, to see if the town will vote to approve the administrative ordinance part 2 for the town of Hartford as written in attachment C. Article 21, see if the town will vote to approve the amendments to the road construction standards ordinance for the town of Hartford as written in attachment B. Article 22, see if the town will vote to appropriate $5,000 from coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds, APA funds, received by the town from the federal government for the following project. Improvements to the Hartford Beach Walkway and Boardwalk, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. Article 23, see if the town will vote to appropriate $123,217.58 from the coronavirus local fiscal recovery funds received by the town from the federal government for the following projects: culvert replacement on town-owned roads, including Garden Road, Darrington Road, and Crab Hill Road, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. Any questions? Article 24, see if the town will vote to discontinue winter maintenance of the Darrington Road from 298 Darrington Road North to the end of the road during the months of October, November, December, January, February, March, April, or any part of these months for a period of 10 years. Yes.
Now, can I say something again? There again, I request that my section of the road be plowed. I'm a half mile down from Jasper's. One-ton pickup can do it. My neighbor's been doing it for 5 years for me. I've been there for 7. And these trucks get deep to shit.
Bring it up.
Leanne, do you have something to say?
It could get voted down at town meeting.
So if this gets voted down, we can bring it back up again?
Well, if it's voted down at town meeting, it doesn't happen.
I was gonna say the same thing.
My neighbor's plowing it for me.
Yes.
No, the town.
Hang on, one person at a time. You have something to say?
I believe for the town to take over plowing, first you have to build the road, so it's satisfactory to the town's level of maintenance before they take it over.
That's correct.
So you have to fix the road,
Who has to?
you do.
Well, actually,
It's not
the
It's the
town
town.
road, the town has to take that over, which is to say, what in the state legislature, where they are talking about a bill, they always have something called a fiscal millage. In other words, so what is this really gonna cost me? We're not talking about the, however much it is, a mile we're paying now, which is thousands, of plowing. It's gonna cost us the upgrade to the road. And as it happens, the way that road is, it's an ancient road, and as with many of them, it's kind of a parabola that way. You know, there's no place to put ditches.
Right,
So
ditches.
they have to build
Right,
it
ditches,
on-
yeah.
There are ditches.
It's just one lane.
It's a one-lane road, there's a ditch on either side of the road.
There you go. Well,
And
okay,
that's,
I am not the head of the roads department. And I personally think that, one of the things we have to do before, and we would do before town meeting, because, clearly this is gonna come up, is to talk to him and find out, like, give us an estimate. How much is it actually gonna cost the town to take that on? Yes?
Is this road a private road or is it part of the town's roads?
the town's road.
It's a town road.
It's a town road.
It has traditionally, I say tradition because it's been traditional for at least 50 years and maybe longer, that the road is plowed to a certain point and then they head up on, around the corner. The town hasn't plowed all the way up that road. Now, there's people who have a property way at the other end that I believe are hoping to come and live there year round. And if, in fact, we have to take our road standards ordinance, to which we have an amendment, if we have to take our road standards ordinance and fit that road within the road standards ordinance framework, it'll cost us a buck, let's not pretend it's not. I mean, I don't even know, in fact, one of the things about the road standards ordinance, and it is in the back of your book if you wanted to look at it, under example, these, I can't remember, but you can look at it, it is going to state that, that all roads need to be a certain limit. So I don't believe we can just go ahead and bring a one-lane road up to standard. I think it would have to be, I actually think it would be a huge project. I mean, I understand where you're coming from. And frankly, I lived on a very narrow road that used to be plowed with not only the big ones, but like little, looked like a regular pickup truck size. Probably, it was probably a pickup truck. Pickup. And that's how they used to knock me out of there. But,
Can I say something?
yeah,
I can't understand half the shit you're saying with that thing in the face.
I'm so sorry. If I didn't have a bad cough, I would not be very this.
So we, just to be clear, if this gets voted down, are we then required to maintain the road? Because he's saying that it's never been maintained, right?
Just some.
I owned,
Yes,
I owned that
So
property for 20
298
years.
north is the ones that, okay.
He's
Prior to that, I understand there was a family living at the end of the road that had children. And when they had children, the road had to be plowed. If that's what I was told is correct.
We talking about back in the days when
So
the Darringtons lived there?
no,
The house all the way up at the end.
the house all the way at the end,
Is the old Darringtons.
yep, but there was a family that lived there. The ones that, the doctor and his wife, Riley's bought it from. And from what they told me, there was a family that lived there, they had children, and that road was plowed, because they had children.
Well, there, get some children.
I don't want them, right? I had grandchildren.
I don't actually remember them being plowed.
Well,
I don't actually remember it being plowed either. I have seen maintenance happen. There's a culvert just before the old Darrington place that was super narrow and washed out and had to be fixed. That was again, reasonably giant project considering that it was a little bit of road to nowhere, or almost nowhere. For the town, for the town to take on, that was kind of good. I mean, I'm not, what I'm saying, I'm just trying to, I'm really, I hope you're not taking me to be your enemy in this. I'm just trying to be the devil's advocate and be honest with folks, to let folks know that should that article fail to pass and it's decided that in fact the town will plow the road, a lot of money will be spent out of this other budget, the summer roads account, much of which is already accounted for and has been, this is the budget, it's like, the stuff has been budgeted for already. That is something that hasn't been budgeted for, and we would have a lot to lot to figure out, it might be a bit of a scramble.
I can't get anything done for summer road maintenance.
So
For
I'll
3
make-
years I tried to get something done. They finally something, a little bit got done last year.
Mhm.
It's just totally ignored for the most part.
I'll take
So-
a ride up there with him.
Yeah,
Pardon?
I'll take a ride up there with him someday and we'll look it over.
It's washed out again this last storm.
Leanne,
It's a public road. If that's voted down, you have no choice. You did it on Gurney Hill. If you didn't want to fix it, you should have discontinued it completely.
So if it gets voted down, it goes back up to discussion, and there's a possibility that we could vote it.
I have a neighbor of mine that brought up to me that seeing that I'm over a certain age, that if anything should happen to me while I'm up there, that the town would be held responsible because they didn't provide maintenance. I don't know if that's true or not, but this has been related to me twice. Something did happen about 7 years ago, but that was in the springtime. Ambulance had to come up. So,
Yeah, how would emergency
Well,
services get there in the winter?
I was gonna say.
they're not.
What would happen in the case if emergency fire or anything was needed there? If it's not passable, does that put the town more at risk for not having your citizens able to get out of their home? I'm not arguing the case one way or the other. I'm totally confused.
Well, you know,
Most would say that's me all the time.
well, there you go, sure, but, and I'm not gonna go into everything myself. But that said, you know, I've seen them put those fire trucks in mighty sketchy spots. So, you know, I don't know who's to say where they can and can't go. We do have at least one street in this town, is a private street. With a little couple bridges down the street here, where, an ambulance cannot get across the street.
Yeah, they own an alternate bridge. I'm a third owner of that bridge. And there's an alternate bridge for this fire ambulance, so.
Is that true, would that be true, Madam Chair? For every road, I mean, it sounds like they've been able to work something out.
Every road has an alternate route.
Yeah, to get in and out, I mean, to be
Not every road
protected.
has not every road has an alternate route. One of the things about a little town like Hartford is that we have some ancient roads, and some people choose to, you know, have chosen to live in some very out of the way locations. The fact that it's a town road does change things.
Yeah.
Do they get a cut on their taxes?
You
No.
know, everybody.
That is a no.
Well, so, that depends on how you ask.
I wasn't being trash.
No, you know, but I guess I have to say that the question
No.
is,
No
the
time.
question is, a little bit off topic.
No,
The fact of the matter is, we all pay
No.
according to our valuation.
no mailbox,
And I bet you, I can bet you.
No FedEx.
It's covered in the name, so.
no Amazon.
What I was gonna say is, you can be pretty darn sure that people with a lovely camp on their pond are paying more for their taxes than somebody who lives in a little house in the woods like he does, or a crumbling old farmhouse out in the woods like I do. We are all paying the same mill rate, but we're all our properties are evaluated by professionals to see more or less what is the current appeal, how much would this house be? If you put it on the market.
I fully understand, and I'm
Well, then why are you
not,
asking me if you get cut on?
and I'm not complaining about my taxes. I mean,
Well,
I'd
if
like
you
to,
are, this is the wrong place to do it, in any case. So
But
do you
anyway-
understand- Do you understand what I just said?
I understand, but
Okay,
hold
we have
on, please.
5 minutes before the select board meeting starts now, and we can't go on like this. We haven't gotten through these articles, and we still have to discuss the ARPA funds and so, the documentaries.
I would agree if it's a public meeting, and if it's a public road that somebody lives on, we have to be able to get ambulances and fire trucks and everything else in there, period. That's an obligation to the safety. And I just think we need to really consider the obligation to people's homes. And if they're on a public road, if it were private, I wouldn't be talking about it. But a public road means it happens responsible for it.
Right.
And I'm not trying to step,
I heard you the first time you said that, and the second, and the third. And
I guess I've heard you several times too.
I'm just hoping that we can continue with what we're doing, because like I say, it's now 4 minutes to the select board, and we have not completed our tasks for the evening.
I guess we planned not enough time for this.
I think that's a safe bet.
Well, we also were talking about articles that have nothing to do with the budget.
That's right. And frankly, I think that, unless we want to go back to actually budget
Well,
articles.
these hearings were advertised in the newspaper. They were legally required to
Right,
be. The winter road closings.
And the road closures is part of what we need to talk
Yes.
about. There are articles that we don't need to talk about, some of the boilerplate articles about dates, taxes, and stuff like that, and then we need to discuss that kind of stuff. No, and well heard, right here, I hear what you're saying, and I think, and this is probably not the best place to do it, but, I think that, the select board can ask them to look at it and give us an estimate of what we thought, so that if, in fact, this particular article plays at town meeting and is open to nature maintenance, that we will have an idea of how much it's actually going to send. Because it's, it's not insignificant. Okay?
People don't understand what you're saying. You can't compute with the math.
Yeah, sorry, what can I say?
Christine.
I'm half deaf, so.
Can we start the meeting at 7 and then continue discussion after the meeting has started?
You don't want to just continue the hearing?
Continue this.
No, so I guess I'm gonna, so I guess what I'd like to move to the select board is that we continue this public hearing and take up the select board meeting as soon as we get our select board meeting. So, according to my rule, is fairly light, and therefore, I think, we would all respect everybody who's bothered to show up, and to continue the public hearing. And, then get it done, so the folks can stick around for a special meeting if they want to,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay, and I don't know how much longer it'll be, but possibly not that terrible. Do you want to read on, or do you want?
yeah, I mean.
I will not read because some people can't hear me.
Article 25, to see if the town will vote to discontinue winter maintenance of the allowable roads during the months of October, November, December, January, February, March, and April, or any part of these months for a period of 10 years, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. The following 3 articles are contingent on the result of those towns' respective town meetings allowing the same for their contracts. Article 26, see if the town will vote to allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into multi-year contracts with the town of Turner for fire and rescue services, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 27, see if the town will vote to allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into multi-year contracts with the town of Buckfield for fire and rescue services, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 28, see if the town will vote to allow the Board of Selectmen to enter into multi-year contracts with the town of Canton for fire services, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 29, see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for Hartford recreation. $2,000 have been requested, recommended by the budget committee and Board of Selectmen, approved $2,000. Article 30, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of money for the Hartford Heritage Society, $600 has been requested, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved $600. Article 31, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for the area's snowmobile clubs. The Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen recommended raising $915. FY 22 approved $300. Note, the town receives a reimbursement of snowmobile registration fees collected in Hartford each year from the state of Maine to be used to fund local snowmobile clubs. Article 32, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate sum of money for the Bear Pond Association. $200 has been requested. Recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved $300. Questions? Article 33, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for Canton Lake Association. $300 has been requested, recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. Approved $300.
And a second.
Oh, yeah. No, it's okay. I get it.
Article 34, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate some money for the Hatton Summer Food Bank. $250 has been requested. Recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22, no request, approved, 0. Questions, Lenny?
No, I'm just surprised we didn't have any last year.
Because I didn't need it.
We just want to say that, since we combined with Sumner, we have so many more people coming to the food bank, like, you know this, because you're there, and the COVID funding is running out. We had, the Sumner Food Bank had a lot of money because of the COVID funding, and so we're actually doing some money. Things we have to buy outside of Shepherd and the TCAP, which comes from the USDA. Yeah. It's just.
The
very
government,
different.
the government's.
Yeah, it's a very different food bank now.
Article 35, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for the Zachary Long Free Ride Library. $1,000 has been requested. Recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved $1,000. Article 36, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of money for Hackney News. $1,400 has been requested. Recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved $1,000. Article 37, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for Buckfield Recreation. $500 has been requested. Recommended by the Budget Committee and Board of Selectmen. FY 22, no request, approved, 0. Article 38, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate the sum of money for RCAM. $2,500 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 approved $2,500.
RCAM is an excellent organization. They do a lot for people in this town.
Article 39, to see if the town will vote to raise and or appropriate a sum of money for a community concept. $1,000 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 approved $1,000. Article 40, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of money for Light. $593 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 approved $593. Article 44, to see if the town will vote. What? Yeah, right. Article 41, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of money for safe poisons. $750 have been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 $750. Article
What
42,
is safe person?
is that?
What is safe? Is it on
Sexual assault,
Thank you.
basically.
Article 42, the city town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for sexual assault prevention. $400 has been requested, no recommendation by FY 22 to $400. Article 43, the city town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for senior plus. $1,000 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 to $500. Article 44, the city town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for lake using seniors. $325 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 to $300. Article 45, the city town will vote to raise and or appropriate sum of money for the Hope Association. $200 has been requested, no recommendation.
Hope Association, serves people with developmental disabilities, all the way from 18 to 100. And we do have several people here in town who make use of those services, just so you know.
Yes.
Who requests that?
What's that?
Who makes the request? Is it
The
the owner?
organization sent us a letter of request at the appropriate times.
And so that's their request,
Yes.
and we're honoring their request.
Yes, and we are obligated to place these requests in the town report, so that people have the opportunity to, help them out.
Article 46, the city town will vote to raise and appropriate sum of money for the cancer resource of Western Maine. $500 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22 approved, $100.
May I just ask a question? The little boy we had the benefit supper for,
Yeah.
Isaac,
was it
Yes,
Isaac?
yes,
And was he able to be part of that for the, because it was cancer?
I have absolutely no idea what outside of assistance they had, but he's doing quite well.
No, he's going back in for surgery tomorrow.
Oh, okay,
They're
well.
putting in a stent. He has
Last
fluid
time he
filled
was
up
doing
and
okay,
scar
I
tissue.
heard something like that. He did.
it's very risky.
Yeah, but his tumor was non-malignant,
Oh,
but they are gonna do, they've been giving him chemo pills, trying to reduce the fat that they couldn't take out.
I'm just, I guess my whole question was, if he wasn't included, do they have to ask for this money? Would we have to come forward as a benefit?
Why do
or-
we have to apply to the Cancer Resource of Western Maine? I don't know if they.
So
Yeah, they
that's,
don't come looking for people.
Well, we have to apply to them.
Right.
would it be known to the average family here?
I know that. I couldn't tell you.
I'm sure
Do we have
Natasha is getting all
Natasha's
kinds
probably.
of. She's very smart, mom.
No, I feel like I'm being jumped at, and I'm just
No.
asking because I see something here that's really important. And, you know, we as a community obviously helped out.
On some of these social service agencies, all of them are important, and we recognize that. We just feel like the townspeople should vote on them and not
Oh,
necessarily.
I'm not
Right.
concerned about that.
Yeah.
I just, you know, I'm not just asking, there's one we had a benefit for. I wanted to make sure that child was able to apply, or the parents or whatever, that's all I was asking.
Well, somebody should probably.
I bet the hospitals probably come in on that.
Oh, yeah.
To let people know.
Oh, you
What
know,
they've
there
done.
are quite a few resources that way. I'm sure that once the kids in the hospital, that they are hooked up with all kinds of different organizations that try to help them.
Okay, Article 47, see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate sum of money for MPD and TV. $100 has been requested, no recommendation. FY 22, no request, approved, 0.
I hope we approve this, it's part of education.
So, yeah.
You know, we were request last year and definitely appropriated.
Article 48, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate sum of money for Angus Garden and Home Health. $500 has been requested, No recommendation, FY 22, no request, approved 0.
Kathy, it's also important to know that Anderson Home Health does hospice,
Yes.
and that's a really important service.
Article 49, to see if the town will vote to authorize the selectmen to use overlay for accounts exceeding appropriated amounts, including tax abatements and applicable interest, and to set the amount of overlay at no more than 2.5% of the tax commitment. Explanation: the selectmen and the assessors are authorized to raise overlay under Title 36 MRSA Section 710, but require your authorization to spend overlay. Overlay cannot be more than 5% of the tax commitment, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 50, to see if the town will authorize the Board of Selectmen on behalf of the town to sell and dispose of any real estate acquired by the town for non-payment of taxes. Sale or sales of said properties is to be by sealed bid and advertised 7 days in advance by posting in 2 conspicuous or public places and by placing an advertisement in the newspaper for general circulation, and to execute municipal quick claim deeds for such property. Board of Selectmen may, without application or advertisement, sell to person or persons for whom the property was taxed at the time the property was acquired by the town, to their heirs or assigns such property at the amount of the accrued tax, interest, lien cost, and administrative fees as determined by state law, and the Board of Selectmen, and therefore shall execute and deliver a municipal quick claim deed for such property, recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 51, to see if the town will vote to fix the following dates on which real and personal property taxes shall be due and payable. 1/2 of the tax shall be due and payable on December 1st, 2022, and 1/2 of the tax shall be due and payable on May 1st, 2023, recommended by the Board of Selectmen.
That's coincide with this budget, right?
Huh?
That's a coincide with the school budget.
52, to see if the town will vote to fix an annual interest rate of the maximum allowed by state law, currently 4% on real and personal property taxes not paid on before December 1st, 2022, and May 1st, 2023. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved maximum rate allowed by state law, 4%. Article 53, to see if the town will fix an annual interest rate of 2% on excess taxes paid when tax abatements are issued by the Board of Assessors. MRSA 36, Section 506A, as amended. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 54, to see if the town will vote to authorize the tax collector or the deputy tax collector to accept prepayments of property taxes not yet due or assessed, and to fix an annual interest rate of 0% on taxes paid prior to the due date. MRSA 36, Section 506, amended. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 55, to see if the town will vote to accept all revenues from cost-sharing projects and from the state and federal agencies. This revenue will be distributed to the appropriate accounts as intended by said agencies. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. Article 56, to see if the town will vote to accept the categories of funds listed below as provided by the Maine State Legislature, and appropriate and apply the total estimated amount $161,459.65 against the total amount authorized to be raised by taxation. Fund category: state municipal revenue sharing, $187,715.65. Local road assistance program, $34,000. Tree growth reimbursement, $18,000. Veterans exemption return, $831. Snowmobile registration refund, $913. Homestead exemption return, $120,000. total $361,459.65. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen FY 22 approve $255,531.16. Article 57, to see if the town will vote to apply the local revenue amount of $248,000. $248,200 against the total amount authorized to be raised by taxation to reduce the FY 20 tax commitment. Recommended by the Board of Selectmen. FY 22 approved $250,000, $150.
You don't have to read this. So this, that's just for everything else, in fact, most of that last year, this is just for 4 months.
Yeah.
There's not really much to discuss about it. We do need to, we have now taken care of both the budget articles and the, winter road closure articles. But we still need to discuss the disposition of the, American Rescue Funds Act. Yeah, I guess a lot of things here, and nobody had any comments on it, but I just want to make sure that everybody understands about that. The town received under the 28,000, was it? Under the 28,000, yes, here we go. $128,000 in all, and articles 22 and 23 were about the American Rescue Plan funds. $5,000 will be spent. It says here for the Hartford Beach Walkway and Boardwalk, basically beach access, because it needs to be done from time to time. It's hard to just take a little money into the budget to do that. And this is still some money that is sort of involved for us. Yes, Lynn?
Well, in talking with the other members of the Recreation Committee, $5,000 for access to the beach could not be spent by the deadline. It just doesn't mean that much. This is already an approved one. And the only part that could be changed is the amount.
No, it can't be, the amount can't be changed because it is the body of the article.
So we can't, I remember asking this before, if we could, for example, get more picnic tables.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if there's some other things, you know, my understanding when we were discussing this with the budget committee, that we would use to beach access.
Right.
And so there may be some other things that make the beach a little more accessible that would qualify, but I don't know for sure.
Well, I read the
Randy's attended a number of classes on the subject of the disposition of ARPA funds and might have a better answer for them.
Well, I think you have to use it how the article is written. Right? Is that what you're asking?
I'm sorry, I had to take an important call. Where are you? What article are you on?
22.
Talking about the rescue plan.
I'm actually back up here.
What
Because
page?
nobody had any comments, 65.
65.
Nobody had any comments on, the American Rescue Plan Act funds, and I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that would be 65 in this case.
And by the time we go on
And
the
the
project.
deadline is 24, right? What, by June 2024, that has to be.
No,
Is it?
26, isn't it?
I'd have to go look.
I thought it was a plan that had to be like 24.
You have to report every year. But I can't remember.
I believe you have to end it by 2026.
Well, you know,
Well, part of the discussion was that we could redo that boardwalk and talk with some people.
and you see that $5,000 in possibly spent.
Well, that's what they said. I didn't say.
Well, you know something, I'm going to tell you.
I'm representing those. other
Removing and replacing that boardwalk
Well,
was
no.
the kind of price.
We're not talking about moving it. We're talking about painting it with a coating. I can't remember what you call it, but we had it at the campground.
Non-skid, right, yeah.
Yeah, not skid, because kids had fallen.
Well, you know
Because
something,
kids got.
if it comes right down to it, you know, if the amount of money to fix the boardwalk is too much for replacing a couple of boards and painting it, then maybe it needs to be upgraded.
Well, we talked about the
You know,
website.
but you know something, I guess, since we put off the selected meeting, now 25 minutes past the time, I'm not sure that, the logistics of what will happen, since it doesn't have to happen until.
No, my question was just, what if it's, you know? Okay, well, we'll spend it.
Yeah, I can go figure it out, I think that's something.
You just need a comma after beach.
Yeah, yeah.
I forgot to put it in, sorry.
$5,000 ain't much.
No.
But they go pretty fast.
We're going
I'm
to
gonna use
continue.
comma, walkway, comma, and one.
Right,
There you go.
it's my fault,
You
sorry.
know, that's, you know.
We're good.
There you go, it's okay, proofreading matters, and I don't know what's up in the department. Okay, Article
Oh,
22,
yeah.
this to take the rest, and it's $123,272.58 to spend on, culvert replacement on town road roads, including the Garden Road and then to the left, travel and culverts. In any case, there's so many other things we could spend it on, but you know, we're gonna end up having to buy some culverts anyway, so it seems like a good idea to tell, yes.
I just want to let you know there's a problem. 2 turtles were laying nature by that cover on the road.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are, and given how quick we work, hopefully they will have hashed out and gone by this time.
Hey, they had you, I mean,
Now, with these
They waited
staffers,
till
they're
they're
like, yeah. Oh, bless their hearts. They've always hit me right on the edge of the road.
Yep.
But whatever, I think that's because the road tends to go
Slop, I won't.
in the sophomore. Anyway, thank you for that. I'm always happy for you. I personally, I know it's great for turtles, but I want to stop the bus.
Just to let you know, she had quite a run on her face. You know, she was struggling.
Well, you know, it's an intense move. Okay, so enough, I guess that would bring us to the candidates night. We have 2 out of 3 candidates tonight. And I don't know if Lori wants to start. If we went alphabetically, you would be first.
I think Lily should go first.
Oh, I'd love you to go first.
You would.
Alphabetically, would put you in the lead, but
Thank you. First time I've been in the lead. My name is William Brand. I live on Barrington Road. How I started out in Hartford when I was 12 years old. My mother used to go without a picture. And we lived here for a few months there and then moved back to Hartford. But anyways, I always loved Hartford and just come to go to Bickford and a boy Freddie there up Freddie's restaurant in Hartford. And she remembered my sister Connie, she was a waitress there. And she was telling her that she's gonna sell her property and was getting too much for her. And she said, I want to go to somebody who will appreciate it. But she said, Connie, you buy it. She said, Mom, my husband and I, we can't afford it by themselves, but my brother Wendell can help. You're going on with it because my sister was very good at spending my money. So, anyways, we went to talk to Goldar and then they backed out. And I said, well, Goldar, I'll still buy it. And the woman financed it for me. She was unbelievable.
wow.
So I paid for it and I've been here, I bought it in 2001, and 8 years ago, and been remodeling as you go. And believe me, I don't recommend living here and remodeling the same time. It's rough, but it's working. Had a lady ask me last night, what are your 3 things that you're most important to you in your life? So I got thinking, I told her, I said last night was family, the use of land. I like to use land as so you can save it for the next person coming down the road. And the 3rd thing was I volunteer for the Canton Food Pantry, and I deliver food throughout the town here in Hartford because Hartford residents can go to the town of Canton, just as they can go to Sunday. So I deliver food and anybody who's ever needed any help that's been around me, I've always offered. I can make things happen. I kind of go to bin there when I need something done on the road. I kind of joke about it. I was self-proclaimed president of Darrington Road Association. And we always talk with anyways. Then you say, can you fix the road? Oh yeah, I'll get you there tomorrow. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, but he does get it done. You know? Huh?
I said, welcome to my world.
Yeah, but he's, overall, everything's going good. And if I do win the election, I'll never talk down anybody. Everyone's got an equal voice. Just hope I get your vote, and I'm pretty frugal with money too. I don't excuse me.
Question, what are your goals?
Boy, I like that.
Go ahead, keep talking.
So, as my goal is to bring down the tax, to create revenue for the town. And I have a few options, a few ways of doing it, just to wait, if I get elected, and I can put them out there, because I'm telling you, the town of Rockford is really making out really good on what they're doing in their investments. And I think the town of Hartford can do the same thing if you have an open mind. And that's half the problem with small towns or is having an open mind, listening to people's ideas, especially, we're just a little sleeper town. We work elsewhere, but we live here. And we respect other people's wishes and don't try to be a bother. But when you can, everyone's there to help you. So I guess that's about it.
Another question?
Yeah, what do you consider your role as selectman person? Your role.
To learn first. I'll be honest with you. Public life has not really been my forte. I mean, I coached football for 14 years. So I got to learn a lot about people, just parents and how they deal with you and how to deal with them. Kids. You just get along with your own.
So let me expand on that. What do you see the role of a select person
Is making things run smooth. When people have this fight, like tonight, it should have been done with courtesy and let people talk without, everyone has a chance, in my mind, talking in a public format. But, everyone got their opinions across. It just was a little jagged. I believe in treating everyone fair, never talking down to someone, just listening. And because sometimes I'll ask you a question, and like I learned from other selectmen from other towns, sometimes you can't give an answer that night, but by God, you can find an answer for it down the road. So there's always a way to get the person's answer and how it can be done. But as a select board, you have to work together. Can't just be one person, a bull in a china closet. You have to work together, listen to each other's, thoughts and what they have to say. I mean, Lee, she's been here forever. So, and then Kathy, you've been here like 6 years.
6 or 9?
9?
Quite a while.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's 2 people you can learn from right there, And by the way, I want to thank you for your service.
Yes.
This young lady,
Thanks
take
so
over.
much. It's good to have a chance to get to know you a little bit. Susan? My name is Sue Goulet. My maiden name is Russell. We bought property in the 50s, my dad and mom and grandparents on Bear Pond. It was the first property sold by Addie Berry. Grew up there as Summers, and my son Russell, we call him Rusty, and I purchased my grandparents' property in the year 2000. And we've been living here permanently for over 10 years on Bear Pond, besides just Summers. And we too are in general construction mode, changing a seasonal cottage into a year-round home. And we put as much money as we can every year and a lot of sweat equity. Rusty and I did our own metal roof, and I try to think of myself as MacGyver. I come up with creative ways to make things happen. And I've been doing that my whole life. I'm number 7 out of 8 children. My mom and dad were hard workers and big volunteers in our community. And that is what I've done my whole life. And I've tried to teach that to Rusty, my only son. When Rusty was in school, you've got to come up with creative ways to make things work, and you can't work a regular schedule when you have a son with autism. And so I started my own company, Goulet Enterprises, and wrote grants, did a lot of business development, helped a lot of not-for-profits, seniors clubs, a lot of groups get funding they needed, which allowed me the flexibility to be at school when I needed to. And when I saw a need in the community, like my mom, when there's no Cub Scouts, she started the Cub Scout group. When Rusty went to Mechanic Falls and Poland schools when he was in school, and we worked really hard to get him mainstream. And some of the incentives and things that other larger school systems could do, Mechanic Falls couldn't. So I worked with the special ed folks there, set up an incentive for those kids. We started an adaptive ski program, and then we were short ski instructors, so I became a handicapped ski instructor and helped train people, including Rusty, when he got out of high school, started teaching, because you got to give back. The reason I'm running for select board is because I see a need. I want all people to be represented in this community. My dad would be the type of person to say, you can't complain unless you're going to make a difference. And so I've been a part of the ordinance committee. I used to sit on the budget committee for 3-4 years in Mechanic Falls. I've been attending these meetings and ordinance meetings and budget meetings for the last several months, because I don't want to come in blindsided if you guys choose to vote for me. Lucy's like a really great guy too. Lots of options. So I want to make a difference. I've got a lot of different kinds of experience. I volunteered for the Oxford Hills Chamber of Commerce because I felt businesses needed help, and I got suckered into being on their board of directors. And 6 years later, I was running the board of directors for the Oxford Hills Chamber of Commerce, added Sumner, Hartford, Mechanic Falls to the Oxford Hills Chamber of Commerce field of dreams of communities, and tried to bring more community awareness of what these communities have to offer for small businesses. And I just think that there's so many opportunities with my skills, as well as looking for additional funds for some of our special projects, to sweat equity, to if there's a need, I want to help. I may not have tons of free time, but if we can help Kathy, Leanne did it for years, out flagging in the cemeteries, I want to do it. If I can make Christmas wreaths, and I'm a huge veteran advocate, I volunteer at Togus as a veterans advocate for healthcare, because with Rusty, I had to be an advocate, and he's doing so well independently with a driver's license, 2 jobs, and supporting himself. I want to help other people be as independent as possible. I felt like we needed to do something to recognize our veterans. I've been making wreaths, a company called Rusty's Wreaths that Rusty and I did. It helped fund some of the special programs we needed, because we didn't want to count on anyone but ourselves. And so this year we needed pretty wreaths, so I just made them. I didn't ask for credit. I didn't want my picture in a book. I'm glad that we got our wreaths on there though, but I want to honor veterans. Rusty and I have a goal at some point to have our wreaths in Arlington. But we'll start small, and we're gonna start making them for our local veteran cemeteries. So now that Kathy's going to show us some of those
we're gonna try to get those laid out this year. So it's kind of who we are. We want to help. Rusty saves boats as they float down and docks that break away. I've hopefully taught him to be a good person and help people, and I want to do that too. And if my goal serving is I want to listen to what people have to say. I want to share those opinions and be a part of that select board team. I definitely do not know much. I'm going to share what I know, and what I don't know, I'm going to find out. And it's not always going to be a popular opinion. I'm going to try to do what's right by listening to what our community wants. It may not be what I agree with, but if it's what the community needs, I'm going to be backing it, even if it wasn't my idea to go forward, or even if it wasn't something that I felt passionate about, because we are part of a team. Any questions?
So I'm asking the same, what do you think the role of a select person is?
I think the role of select person is to represent our residents and to do what we think is best after being elected to support our residents here in town. I think that part of the select board is also to offer leadership, try to be ready to keep things modernized, to keep moving the community forward. Some of the goals I really want to do, I want to look at our previous strategic plan. I want to dig into that and set up some action items. So it's not just something that sits on a shelf. What does this community need? What have we already come up with great ideas that we could implement? Or build some groups that want to participate in that. I also have lived through COVID, as many of us all have done. I think that there's a great way to come up with a very large monitor where people can call in. Hearing impaired people can have adaption so that they can either sit here or at home and be able to participate better with our meetings. A way that we've taken kind of this Zoom call, but supersize it so that more people can participate, whether they can drive or not at night. I think that there are ways to bring the community in that we need to do and improve on what these guys have done for years and represent a family that's definitely working all the time and serve the community. Did that answer your question?
Any other questions?
Nobody on Zoom?
Nope. No, not with questions.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
again, so I guess that brings us at 7:38 to the select board meeting. Thank you all for coming, and welcome to stay in the select board meeting.
I'm gonna Zoom it.
This is, and I would not miss it here.
We're all welcome to do what, we didn't hear that.
You can stay if you want. So you came here, you have that all, right? Did you say this?
Yeah.
You can stay at the meeting if you want.
Welcome to stay.
Just small things I won't notice.
Rusty,
Hey, you, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm so happy it's almost Friday.
yeah.
Yeah,
We
from
all usually have.
He wants to go check out other people's piles and stuff.
There you go. Upload some stuff up here. And don't forget, Saturday, all day, we're gonna be having a free sale.
Free sale?
11 to 7, all free stuff.
Get here early.
On Saturday.
Right here.
Yeah, we
Thanks, you guys. I really appreciate you letting us know.
Yeah, that was just like the mountain, it's coming up.
Okay, so we're gonna start our select board meeting now, and anybody who wants to continue to chat is welcome to hang out outside and chat. or you can stick around. Because I'm gonna call the meeting to order at 7:40.
Must have brought in some flavored water, if anybody would like to have one. I know you were coughing, so I wanted to get
What flavor?
it is incredibly healthy, blueberry acai. Yeah.
Okay, so, has everybody had the opportunity to review this select board meeting? Have you had the chance to
I'm all set.
review this in the proposal? Yeah, these are all signed, these, were.
Okay.
So those are all signed, but while we sign those, I'm gonna skip ahead and, we keep warrants, payroll, the warrants number 28, and payroll warrants from May 18th, May 25th, and June 1st. I move we approve the warrants as changed.
Did-
What? Oh,
Did you do the minutes? I missed it.
no, it's not, no, I'll call that one. I'm just trying to move along. Rather than wait for them to actually sign, once they're signed, I will call for the people. No, I'm skipping around because I want to move along, the work is starting for me in place, so. So, anyway. I think we approve the select board minutes of May 19th, 2022. All in favor? I don't know who seconded, but
I said,
okay, did you say all in favor? Yeah. There you go. Okay, so, do we have any kind of RSV report? Not yet. Did anybody show up?
No. But I did Buckfields for them and they had you.
Oh, there you go. Well, it's good. It's good, it's good. Do we have a road report tonight?
Yes.
We are road city.
I typed it up once.
There's some of the paving a couple weeks ago, the road crew was started work on Ferry Road. Glenn Luce has cut some big piles on the road will be ground to dirt, and the entire road will be ditched. The cross culvert will be replaced in the next few weeks. I have a question. I actually passed Ferry Road while they were working on it, and some of those pines were massive. Where are you going?
I can't understand you very well.
where are the pine trees going that they cut down?
The firewood mower hardwood went up to the landowner, he didn't want the pine trees, so I told Luce to get rid of them.
But they weren't all scrub. I saw one that was at least that big around.
They were all rotten when he cut them down, so I don't know where he took it. I didn't want him, and asked if he had a place to get rid of them.
Well, they took the hard one.
He took the hardwood, and one of the trees was there, the landowner wanted, we called him up, unloaded it at his house, and he told us to get rid of the rest of it, whatever we wanted to do.
Okay.
Rose, it's the best it's ever been since I moved here.
What is,
Right now.
what, Perry Road? Yeah, probably so. How, and where are you with your grading program?
Trying to work a few roads in as I can here, but I've been pretty busy with all the paving and getting going over there.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We have a CEO report for us. And you can jump it up and down in their exercises.
Everybody brings them in.
That's right, huh? Building permits issued 8, last year 23. Year to date, 20 permits issued 9, last year 27. This is something. I'm assuming it was carried somewhere, right? Yeah, we went to the store. And Kathy spoke to you. Yep. Because, yeah, he was mad because the old officer said this is a civil issue, but it is a civil issue, not in terms of getting between neighbors. If somebody's over the line, then they have to take it up to the neighbor and the cops and the.
I agree to understand.
So forth. Pardon?
I agree to understand.
That's good to hear. Thank you for that. Alrighty. That's good. And there is some CEO correspondence, I see. It says this, on the CEO report, what is something right there.
Did I give you a copy of this?
Oh, that was actually last, 2 weeks ago.
No, it's a new one.
No,
A new one.
the response here.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, it's in
Okay,
here.
I'm gonna finish it, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, that's report. Thank you.
Oh, there we go. Most enjoyable visit from Captain Lowe, who I viewed as one of Hartford's greatest assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you only call the CEO in the first place because the police advised him to. That's a good thing, they stepped outside and looked.
Quiet down over there.
Children. Oh. Thank God I was supposed to remember that all that 40 years ago. Yes. I did.
You wouldn't forget him.
40 years is a long time, okay? But I did have a little more than you. Anyway, moving right along. Thanks for that. ACO report, nothing?
No.
That's always good news. Very good report. Well, I can tell you, because we had our shoreline zoning, hearing last night. There were a few questions about the shoreline zoning ordinance. Pretty much most of the ordinances had very, very few questions. We did not have somebody taking notes.
I took notes. I was listening in
You were listening in?
on Zoom.
Oh, great. Because, guys, I know I was. There were very few questions about the shoreline zoning. I did contact the, the chair of the planning board, and when they called her, she was out of town, and she said, basically, no, there's no way I can get this, get the planning board together before I do it. So it basically, you know, and she said it is what it is, but that's more or less what she let me know. At least is what we get. Anyway, so, just let you know that. Ordinance committee. We give them some new charges as of the first of the fiscal year. Fire warden report? How's he doing? Not really. No, we said keep fire?
He's kind of quiet these days, in Bellevue. I see him Wednesday. She's known, and it's a lot.
No, that was mine. I think the dentist.
Yeah.
But he's very quiet, don't even speak, he just shuffles home.
Oh. So, treasury report?
I don't have much. I give you the updated expense report. We did, so far this year, we've made $2,400 from doing other towns' registrations.
Oh, good. Imagine it keeping you busy. So I looked in the warrant, I can see quite a few. Can't look here.
Oh, yes. About it.
Okay.
I'm gonna mail the town reports tomorrow, by the way, if anybody
Yes,
asks.
thank you for that. I think everybody's kind of pleased to get their town report. You know, mailing them, so I think better outreach efforts to be done in town. I was really keen on it because when I first came, I didn't know anything about town meetings, having come from big city years back in 1975, and the select board actually came out and put a town report in my mailbox. And then I found it, it said, show up first Saturday in March, and that's when town meeting is, that's when I first started participating, because First Saturday in March. Well, you see, the thing is, that was based largely on the fact that, you know, at one point, all the communities were largely agricultural. And in June, people didn't have gardens. Right. And so, but in March, I mean, you might have to stop wearing your sack for a little bit, you know, there wasn't that much else going on. I think that has to be. Right, so March was a good season for it. In any case, thank you for that. So we have a calendar reminder, so on June 14th is the election. I know there are some people in this room that will nowhere near forget about that. First town meeting is 4 days later on Saturday, right here at 9 a.m. And on June 4th, which is the day after tomorrow, we are having, call it a free sale, it's the wrong word, because we don't have a transfer station and a swap shop. We are having a day here where people can bring their used stuff that's decent, but they really don't want anymore. To see if there's other people who want it, and I expect we'll have like crowd shop and just come get stuff with no haggling, no making change. We will have a donations jar, and I'm going to talk to the others who are on this, well, I wouldn't really call it a committee, but this group of people who's working on this. I'm thinking that if we have a donation jar, last year, we did this at the high school, and it was $200 of donations, and it ended up going to the community garden. This year, what I'd like to do with that money, and I hope you guys think it's a good idea, is I'd like to take that money and put it towards our little resource tree. Maybe for some repairs, but in particular for keeping it stocked. Yes.
So Walmart does a matching grant if a community or a not-for-profit group does a fundraiser. So if you do a donation jar with people making donations, I can submit that to the Walmart Foundation and see if they'll match it.
Awesome.
But you just be aware, because if it's actual on the books, we have to accept the money at town meeting and all that.
Right. No. I mean, I know that the town is letting us use the hall for this, but it's not a municipal function. It's a kind of random bunch that want to make it happen.
So you're not accepting donations as a selectman?
Oh, heck no. No.
Okay.
I'm just gonna set up your donations right there and make sure that one or the other of us who is volunteering that day, and any of you are welcome to come and volunteer that day, just to keep an eye on things, that nobody puts their hand in the jar. That's how we did it at this, the day we did this in Buckfield. And it was a lot of fun. One of the guys, John Irving from Sumner, was helping me with this, and he actually bought hamburgers and hot dogs and actually set up a grill underneath easy up, yeah. Well, Kevin Philbrook is the custodian at school. He had some easy up set up with tables outside. And free hamburgers and hot dogs and what can I say? It was a good time to have that. I know I don't have any plans to feed people, but I think a lot of people have been asking about it. So, yeah, sorry, I didn't know I was not supposed to tell Rusty about it.
No, you were not supposed to tell us.
I'm so sorry.
I have someone bringing this is. Now I'm like, I'm thinking another one.
Oh, I'm so sorry. You should have said something to me.
I didn't know you couldn't say.
Oh, tell
When
people.
the support is mom.
Well, sorry about that. Anyhow, yeah, other volunteers are needed. Also, the town hall is gonna be open tomorrow from 2 in the afternoon to 7 PM for people to drop stuff off, for people who can't show up Saturday morning. So, yeah. And so, yeah, no, it's not gonna be, the plan was not to have a donation jar, like at the suppers, we had a donation jar, and we always ran it through an account. The potlucks, the individual potluck suppers.
Okay, so if you apply for grant, it's not town park.
No.
No.
Or matching.
It's the buy nothing day. And the group is, more or less, I would say, the buy nothing group is a Facebook group. And I would say, we almost want to call them the sponsor, although it's not necessarily a group thing, but it's, I think a lot of those folks are gonna show up because they're all about free stuff. Free stuff, it's so attractive, right? Anyway, so that's it for the calendar reminders. Unfinished business, we have the Spirit of America Award Certificate and Celebration. Celebration?
Well, the Spirit of America.
Yeah, I remember, Betty. It's gonna be for the food bank.
Well, I'm gonna have to report back to them, tell them how we honored our recipient of the award.
By putting them on the cover of our town report.
Okay.
It's gotta be.
Last year, we made an announcement at town meeting. You don't wanna do that?
So why not? Sure.
Yeah.
I guess I'm thinking there are 11 people here. I don't know that a bouquet of roses for each is appropriate, but certainly at least mentioning it.
So we can have Scott at some point.
Yeah.
The certificate, that's.
Sure enough. Do you think we should make copies of this and give it to people, or should we just?
I have plenty of the forms if you want one for each person, or we can just.
That's I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Like 20 people.
Or I can get a frame and just bring it to the church.
I'm thinking that if we have one, yeah, I think it should be there at the church itself. Or maybe in the community gathering room, where they have potluck suppers and stuff like that. It would be nice. It would be nice.
I'll bring a town report and then a framed certificate.
There you go. Nice. No. And then you can tell them what we do. Thanks for that. Okay, open
Can
session.
you sign it?
Oh, absolutely. Sorry,
I don't know if you all want to sign it or just the chair or
you guys want to sign this as well?
Yeah, sure.
Copy of what?
That last thing I got, you put it up someplace in here.
Yeah.
Right.
Good.
You hang it up someplace, maybe that last one I got.
Good. No, it's not you. I can see that you are.
Oh, I got one.
Oh.
I fell down. The one
That
that,
sounds like an engineering problem to me.
well, one they gave me when I went to the, over there to Oxford, and Norway, Paris. It said stickers on the back. It just stamped on my wall.
Yeah, that sounds like an engineering problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so open session, does anybody have anything for open session tonight? Nothing?
Nothing from me.
This is your big chance, I just thought that. Okay, so railroad bed information workshop set date. Right, after town meeting.
I can't see.
I said, after town meeting in any event.
I said I can't see.
You can't see.
No, here. So after town meeting?
Yeah, not like right after town meeting, but sometime in the not too distant future. I don't know.
Wait till July. Yeah, so one of you will be involved, not me.
Yeah, but it does make sense to me to you know, go into the first part of fiscal year, but. Here's the calendar.
You want it before a selectmen's meeting or?
You know, given the amount of victory that was, you know, I mean, there was a completely random post about nothing to do with the railroad, and it turned into a lot of angst about the railroad. Yes, he started stuff, but it's turned into a lot of angst about the railroad bids. I'm almost thinking that this should be a standalone meeting.
Richard's on there, seeing if he was here.
Oh, he's trouble. All right.
He's waving.
He's trouble, all right, he knows it. So when we get into July, our first select board meeting is gonna be on the 7th. Maybe he wants to be after that? I don't know. Do you want to be on a particular night of the week?
Don't matter to me.
Why don't you do it like from 6 to 7 and then do the select board meeting, so you only tie up?
Well, I don't know, tonight's a splendid example of how well that works.
But if you're only covering one topic, and you've got an hour,
It is conceivable, it is conceivable that we would get through that particular topic in an hour, but I don't know. Now we have the precedent of just saying, oh, well, we'll just have our select board meeting later on.
Are you going to have a on-site meeting, gonna walk it?
You have to do that during the day, you would.
You know, I don't know, that's a good question. You know, if we're gonna do a daytime meeting, then we would have to set aside a Saturday. But setting aside a Saturday might be the best thing. I don't know. One of the things we know for sure is that no matter what date we choose, somebody's gonna be pissed because not everybody's gonna be able to make it.
I'm game for anything. You know that.
Well, that's helpful. Oh my God, don't, I will schedule it for that. I'm looking at the Saturdays. 16. Wait, okay, my brother's coming in sometime in July too.
nothing matters, I'm on vacation from the 13th through the following Sunday, camping. Try not to hit any, just in case I'm wrong. I'm still getting ready to pay for it.
Okay, so anytime, yeah, so my brother's gonna be here from the 25th of June to the 10th of July, so just to, you know, just to make sure that I'm not scheduling on top of something.
I'll go with you.
Great.
I actually just looked at the 16th of July, it seems like forever from now, but in fact, it's gonna be on top of us before we know what happens. That is a Saturday.
She can't do that, if she wins.
16th,
Or you're gonna be gone somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation the 13th.
Oh, I thought that just meant you weren't working, and you're not talking staycation, you mean you're shoving off.
She's going down, east where I come from.
Oh, okay.
I'll be gone the week of 16th.
Oh, for crying out loud. Everybody's going away, yeah, I'm gonna be.
Well, just July.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna have my notes to be honest, but. Do we want to go with, let me see, so we're doing 23rd, Saturday the 23rd? Well into July, it'll be part of the just how about it?
Good.
All right, it gives people plenty of time to think about it, and they can carry on about how they want in the meantime.
Well, I am open.
Yeah,
That's
Well,
good. Open
23rd
schedule.
works for both of them.
Okay, great, so we'll call it 23rd.
What time did you say?
I don't know, nobody wants to have to come out too early, as I imagine, because.
Well, yeah, but if you do it too late, like 10 o'clock, so maybe you might
Well,
want
and
to
you
do
don't want to eat up the whole day, so like 9 o'clock.
9 or 10 o'clock in the morning.
If
That's why I said, I said 9 or 10.
If they're walkers and sportsmen, they're up early anyway. People that care about the trail.
Mhm. And you know something, if, what's the other thing about the July 23rd and a Saturday at 9 in the morning is that, you know, we can walk the railroad bed and then come back and sit here and actually do our job as much as we need to. But the other thing is it gives us plenty of time for people to weigh in, that once we schedule this, of course, we have to send out notice to abutters and so forth, so that they can also attend, all stakeholders are invited, and that'll give people plenty of time to say, are you kidding, not on a Saturday, kind of stuff. If it turns out to be really bad, we could reschedule as needed. If people are like, people who really care about this can't participate.
10 o'clock?
Well, you know, she did say 9, 9 is probably good, you know, it's gonna be hot by then. And then some, unlikely, right?
Say 9:30, halfway to Tuesday.
Kathy, I can pick you up on the four-wheeler, we'll try that.
When you get to the bridge, I'll be on something.
So just FYI, I walked that trail
Some of those
all the way to
snakes.
Canton Big Apple the other night.
You did.
It was because I didn't realize the trestle bridge was out by our beach. I thought I'd be able to cross that, and I couldn't, so I ended up having to walk all the way out.
The trestle, oh my God, that's been out since sometime in the 50s, I think.
So I walked all the way up to Church Street, out Pine Shores, and then down and then I come back in to walk all the way up to the boat launch.
Well, I am mighty impressed.
7.2 miles.
Oh, dang.
How far is it from here?
It was pretty painful, the last 2 miles.
I imagine it was getting old by that time, sure.
Few
No.
tips.
I wish I was in that better shape.
When did you do this?
Thursday or maybe Wednesday, 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
me and a
so-
friend, we started at about 5:30 and we just kept going. I was looking at
4:30 in the morning?
night,
Oh,
we did after work, stupidly after
Oh.
that. Because I thought that maybe as it's here in the snowmobile maps, I'll say it's like 5 miles. But I think it's because they travel across, you know, a straight line where you're walking and there's houses and. That was an adventure.
Okay, so I just put this in railroad bed powwow, and we're gonna say, did we say 9, 9:30, 10?
Don't matter.
That's
Go ahead,
helpful.
pick a date.
There,
I
We
mean,
did.
time.
23rd.
I meant time.
There, I'll tell you.
9:30,
You're not even gonna be there.
I might.
about 9:30.
I'm allowed.
Yeah,
9:30?
yeah, okay.
I might
July
take
23rd
my
at
dog
9:30
and
in the
walk
morning.
around with you guys, so.
All right, so put it in my calendar. We can let folks know that it's gonna take place. Good, so that's done. Okay, Bear Pond Improvement Association boat ramp closure in 2023. This is just informational?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I picked that up last night, talking to, I think it was Chad was telling about it.
They were inspecting the dam this morning.
Yeah,
The main state people were, as well as
yeah,
people from their lake association.
wow. Well, hopefully everything's at least mostly okay for now. Yeah, fingers crossed. I did come across something from a while back that asked if, it was talking about Turner using some of their ARPA funding to address the problem with the dam. I was hoping that maybe Hartford would do the same, but the dam was very far from our thinking when we were doing
No, I talked to Turner and I talked to, the fellow from Peter,
Pete the plumber.
right, no, he,
Oh,
Pete Pillsbury.
yes.
oh, yes.
And he said the dam wasn't as bad as they thought, so they're not asking for that
Oh,
number.
no kidding.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So we're off the hook for having
Broken
spent it on
cement
something.
underneath it.
Off the hook for having spent it on something else. Okay. Shelving and lumber trade. Leanne, she mentioned this to me the other day. Her son was working a job where he took in a whole bunch of free shelving. It's like metal with dividers. But you know, professional, you've seen it, professional shelving. And she was wondering if maybe to pay him back for being willing to schlep all that heavy stuff, she could give him the lumber and set that back in the town office. Which isn't going to improve by setting up.
No, it's already warped.
Well, right, exactly. It's, you know, been raining on it, and sitting on the ground, something on the ground.
There's 3 large boards and then I don't know how many,
The planks, right, you know, they're like
yeah,
dimensional lumber, right? Yeah,
they must be 2.
yeah, dimensional lumber. Yep. Not boards, but actually planks. I move we let her make that swap. That was like a good deal.
I second it.
Hopefully there's gonna be room for the, okay, all there. So in any case, hopefully there's gonna be room in there. I know there are some rough shelving in there now.
Yeah, it's not just for in there. I'm gonna leave that because it would be rude to, you know, do anything else. But there's other places that I could use it. Once town meeting's over and whatnot, I'm gonna look at everything.
Yeah,
and-
well, no question, you've been kind of slammed. Apparently. Okay, well, that brings us to an executive session. But before we go into executive session, let's take care of our last 4 articles. Are there any appointments and resignations this week?
No resignation.
Well, I don't have any.
No official ones.
There's some unofficial ones.
No.
I guess they don't count unless they're official, right? Whatever. Okay, and is there training that needs to be attended to? And other correspondence that we need to know about?
They give you the swing permit?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I think this is the only one that's the mitigation.
You know, we must have done this before, but I really haven't
I
done it.
swear we got one last, oh yeah, we've done it many times.
Yeah,
I swear we got one last year, so this is
22 to 24.
24. 5 years.
There you go. Well, there you go.
This is swim area permit. We have to have
That's,
that.
yeah,
I
state
think,
permit to,
I think to have a public beach,
What's that?
to hold a public, have open public beach. And I think that's probably because there are plenty of hazards involved. I'll have to assume.
I remember we had to send pictures of the buoys and tell them how many.
Yeah, really. Wow.
Okay, mitigation grant specialists. 16. I don't think we're gonna be able to do that. Maybe call us. And today's the 2nd, so the next meeting can be the 15th. Must be late.
Oh, she's buying those two.
Yeah, so To 16th is our next select board meeting. So this is actually the day of our next select board meeting.
Hey, Leanne,
Yes.
when did you talk to Pete Pillsbury about the dam?
That was, geez, I don't know the date.
Okay, that's what I thought. At first, we didn't think there was much going on with the dam, but after, I think Pete Pillsbury probably talked to you before we actually really looked at the dam.
A lot of work.
Say that again?
Does need a lot of work.
Well, right now, we're in the process of looking for engineering firms to come out and look at the dam to give us a better understanding of what needs to be repaired.
Okay.
So at first, yeah, we didn't think there was going to be much, but there could be potential that it could be a lot more. But we do have funds set aside for this kind of thing. But engineering firms themselves are pretty expensive. So at some point, and I'm probably speaking out of my place because I am on the board of directors. I do go to the meetings and stuff, but this is probably more of a Pete Angel, Pete the plumber. He's the president right now. He would be able to speak to it better than I can, but there is the potential at some point down the road that, yeah, we could ask the town for a little bit of help,
Okay.
depending on the size of the problem and how much it really costs. But right now we are looking for engineering firms to just come out and look at the dam to see what we need to do.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the update.
Sure. And I think on the agenda, it said ramp closure for 2023, but like we discussed last night or like Doreen said, it's at the end of this voting season, 2022, that ramp will be closed.
But in 2023, it will be completely closed.
2023, it will be completely closed, yes.
Okay.
As of right now, yes.
Um,
And please take this with a grain of salt. I'm not the president or vice president. I'm just trying to relay a little bit of information.
Understood. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, I'd just like to relay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, yep.
Okay. I would just like to relay a little piece of information to you too, is that if you need, if the Fairpond Improvement Association needs to make a significant request to the town of Hartford, it's a good idea to do it January, February or something.
December is the deadline.
Okay.
Early on.
And yeah.
Because we need to put it through the budget process.
Okay, good to know, because I think they'll probably we'll probably have to lower the water earlier again this year so that the engineering firm can get in there and take a really good look. That happens September, October, and then we figure out what we're gonna do from there. So if we do need to ask the town for money, then yes, we'll put it in December.
Okay, great. Well, I just wanted to point that out, if you come to us in the middle of the year, we're liable to have empty hands.
Yep, understood. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Okay, so you have returned and we are just about finished, except we have one article, one agenda item here, which is executive session. Pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 concerning a poverty abatement application. In which case, everybody who's not on the select board has to be kicked out because it's a private matter. So, thank you all for coming.
You have to actually make a motion.
I move that we move into executive session pursuant to 1 MRSA section 405 concerning a poverty abatement application.
Second.
All in favor?
See you, Lou.
Thank you. Nice to talk together, you guys.
Yep, see you later. Sue.
So can I just mute this until you're done? Stay tuned.
Yeah, I remember someday they gave us that little milk there that was.
Yeah,
just
yeah,
about ready to
so
run out.
I've been feeding that stuff to the dog. Hopefully one day we'll get it after we do that. We'll have to do it also.
Yeah, well, milk is good. It's weird because they always give cats cow milk all the time in the barns, you know. But yet it's better for dogs than it is for cats. Figure that out.
Come see what you think.
I don't know. Well, I see the lights are up. I don't know, right? Okay, so it says recording? Yep. And I see the letter I, so I'm assuming that the town of Hartford is us. Leanne, are you there? Can you hear us? She said she would be listening in.
Would be.
She said she would be. Are we done? Are we done? Are we done for tonight? See, Which is very fine with me. I don't think anybody's in this meeting.
I saw movement, are you still?
No,
No, actually, I was trying to make this, I'm trying to make this happen. I don't know what to do. Kathy, they don't get me so. There's no, I don't think there's anybody here anyhow. Which I don't know, because it's got on board. No decision has been made at this time. I move we come out of executive session. I was gonna wait for all this to go on. Move we come out of executive session.
I'll second it.
All in favor? Well, we discussed the subject of this trouble meeting. Have either of you come to a conclusion?
Yes.
Yes, and Kathy?
I say that we cannot do an abatement. 30
Same
years.
as me, we cannot.
So I guess I'm going to say that this abatement is not granted.
I need a motion.
Would you like to put this in the form of a motion?
I make a motion that this abatement on this property thing cannot be accepted.
Is it just, you might consider saying, I move that we do not grant this part of the right.
I make a motion, we cannot grant this property abatement. In favor?
Second?
Lee seconded?
I do.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I will let her know.
Yeah, you know, I think we all feel bad about it, but
Don't mention my name.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
you know,
Let her-
our responsibility is to every taxpayer in town.
That's right.
So, yeah. And I, you know, looking at the book, looking at town reports, there's quite a few people. Although I remember years ago, there used to be pages and pages and pages.
Ain't quite as
I
bad.
didn't include the most recent tax year because it just, you know, it was due May 1st. I know we've done that in the past, included, and people complained. so I
Oh,
didn't-
yeah,
Oh,
well,
doing,
Yeah.
right, because,
That's why,
because the,
give them time to, yeah.
Unless Vinny
They
wasn't.
might be
in
all
there.
paid up by now.
Oh, yeah,
Vinny had a whole page all to himself.
I know.
you did pretty good.
so I'm moving to adjourn the meeting, so we can start,
No, somebody forgot their glass again.
yeah, I think that is,
That's
in the
gonna
same
be
seat, the same seat,
Christine.
it's gonna be Christine, and I think that Lenny's is in the back room here too.
Yeah, she forgot hers last night.
It's in the kitchen, it's like- Yeah, so. What's I say?